They thought they were using each other until they got caught in their own game. See what happens when two scammers fall for their own lie. Watch till the end to find out. Guys, grab your popcorn because what you're about to see in this captivating movie will truly wow you. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about a fascinating new Nigerian movie that offers more than just entertainment. It's packed with valuable lessons, so you won't want to miss it. Let's get into it. The movie begins with a young man named Austin, who is in a rush to leave his house because he needs to pick up a woman from the airport. He calls his friend, who brings a car to his house, and then quickly sets off. On the way back home, Austin is with the lady named Benita, who is live streaming about how great Nigeria is. They both enjoy the moment together. When they arrive at Austin's house, he lies to her, claiming that his home is the least of his possessions. This surprises him when Benita mentions that she lives in a 3-story building made of gold. As Austin tries to open the door with his key, Benita begins another dramatic moment, questioning why he doesn't have a more advanced way to unlock the door. Austin explains that this is just how things are done in Nigeria. Inside the house, Austin justifies why he is living there, promising that he will move to a bigger house once he gets married. They enjoy their time together, but when Benita enters his room, she expresses surprise that he doesn't have a robot to do his chores. Austin explains that such technology isn't common in the country, then leaves her to settle in. However, Benita is secretly pretending all along. She quickly picks up her phone and calls her friend, bragging about how wealthy Austin is and vowing to do whatever it takes to marry him. Meanwhile, Austin is also on a call with his friend, telling him how wealthy Benita seems based on what she has told him. He adds that even if she's lying, his main focus is to use her passport as a means to leave the country. Later that day, at the dining table, Austin prepares a delicious meal of egusi soup with pounded yam. However, Benita belittles Nigerian food and asks for dishes that Austin has never even heard of. Eventually, she settles for noodles, which Austin quickly prepares for her. As he eats his own meal beside her, Benita starts salivating, clearly wishing she were eating the same thing. That night, Benita wakes up in the middle of the night, sneaks into the kitchen, and begins devouring the egusi soup and pounded yam. A short while later, Austin wakes up and notices that she is not in the room. He searches for her and finds her in the kitchen, leaving him wondering what is going on. They both return to the room together. Wow, guys, this is hilarious. Why do people pretend about things they actually want? Let's see how this all plays out. The next morning, when Austin wakes Benita up, she screams loudly, warning him that he could be sued for doing that. Austin then asks her to make breakfast for him, explaining that he has an important meeting with the governor, whom he assists with various matters. Instead of cooking, Benita starts another dramatic scene, claiming that she was very close to the late Queen Elizabeth of England. Austin is stunned by this revelation, as he never knew she was so influential. She then goes back to bed, and Austin leaves to meet his friend. At a restaurant, Austin meets with his friend Samson and pleads with him to act like a wealthy man who will visit his house to discuss a huge amount of money. This is all part of his plan, as he believes Benita is the type of person who would be interested in wealth. However, Samson refuses, not wanting to get involved in any complications. Austin reassures him that he is not after money but is simply trying to leave the country. He shares his plans with Samson, who reluctantly agrees to play along, but only once. They then enjoy their time together. Guys, this is shocking. Would you help a friend in this kind of situation if he was telling the truth? Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and let's see how this ends. Later that day, Benita's friend comes to visit her and is amazed by the beauty of Austin's home. Benita tells her what Austin has said, and they both celebrate. Benita reveals that she isn't interested in love, but is after Austin's bank account. However, her friend advises her to be careful, warning that if Austin finds out she has been lying, she will lose everything. To secure her position, her friend suggests that she get pregnant for Austin, as that would leave him with no choice but to stay with her because a child would be involved. Benita agrees to the plan, and they both enjoy their wine, celebrating their next move. That night, while Benita and her friend were celebrating their plans, Benita quickly sent her friend to the kitchen because she didn't want Austin to find out that she had been lying to him all along. Just then, Austin walked in and, in a fit of anger, began raising his voice at Benita for opening an expensive bottle of wine without his permission. Seeing that he wasn't remorseful about his outburst, Benita, equally angry, broke another bottle of wine. Claiming that it was just a cheap drink and that he was overreacting, Austin stormed off to his room, leaving Benita wondering why he was so upset. Amara then stepped out of the kitchen and warned Benita not to drive Austin away with her bad attitude before leaving. Later that night, while Austin was deep in thought, he decided to fake a phone call, loudly discussing millions of naira in hopes of impressing Benita. As soon as he finished, Benita, captivated by what she had heard, began romancing him. However, feeling uncomfortable, Austin left for his room, but Benita had already made up her mind. She was determined to sleep with him that night. She followed him to the room and insisted they be intimate, but Austin refused, saying he wanted to wait until after their wedding. She forcefully made her way through, and later that night she wanted another round, but Austin ran out of the room in distress. The next morning, Benita's friend returned to help her act more like a London babe, as she called it. She brought a gun and some cigarettes, encouraging Benita to use them to appear more sophisticated. However, Benita refused, not wanting to risk losing Austin. She did, however, accept the cigarette. Her friend also insisted that she take advantage of Austin's wealth by asking for a huge sum of money before leaving. A few hours later, Austin returned home and confronted Benita, warning her not to smoke in his house. He asserted that he was also a billionaire like her, and that since they were in Lagos, she should respect his rules. Despite her initial attempt to stand her ground, she eventually gave in, and they reached a small agreement. That same day, Austin introduced Benita to his business partner, who was also a billionaire. They went out for lunch together, and while they enjoyed their meal, Austin and his partner discussed a large sum of money. This shocked Benita, but she concealed her emotions and decided to fabricate more lies. Samson, Austin's friend, asked Benita where she lived in London, but her response was so inconsistent that it became obvious she was lying. After lunch, Samson pulled Austin aside and warned him that Benita was just like him, pretending to be someone she wasn't. He pointed out flaws in her accent and the unrealistic description of where she claimed to live. He advised Austin to be cautious before leaving Austin deep in thought. That night, Benita was on a call with people in London, expressing how much she missed the environment, the atmosphere, and most especially, her pets. Austin, who had just woken up, was shocked when he overheard her mention spending £50,000 on animal feed. After her call, she went to bed. The next morning, Austin began to suspect something was off. He decided to search Benita's bag, reasoning that anyone truly coming from London should have some pounds or an international passport. As he rummaged through her belongings, he found her real ID card, revealing her actual name. Wow, now this was war. What would happen next? That same day, in the kitchen, Benita and her friend brainstormed ways to extort money from Austin. Since they were now convinced he was truly rich based on his discussions with his business partner, they decided to request 5 million naira from him and forget about marriage. After her friend left, Austin confronted Benita, addressing her by her real name, Chiamaka. Benita was stunned. With no way to escape the truth, she finally admitted to all his accusations. Austin, in turn, revealed that he had borrowed his friend's car and that his house would soon be taken away in less than 2 months. He had only been keeping up appearances for her sake. He then told her that since she was just as broke as he was and couldn't offer him any help, she should leave his house. He walked away, but Benita found it difficult to accept. Desperate, Benita called her friend and informed her of what had happened. Her friend asked if she was already pregnant, but Benita wasn't sure. However, she remained adamant about not leaving Austin's house. Meanwhile, Austin was lost in thought, deeply troubled that his plan to get a visa to London had just been ruined. That same day, Benita took a pregnancy test, which came out positive. When Austin found out, he fainted on the spot. After recovering, he confronted Benita, insisting that she get rid of the pregnancy because everything between them had been built on lies. He warned her to stay away from him and walked away, but Benita refused to listen and insisted on staying. Wow, guys, this has taken a serious turn. Now that things have escalated, what would be the best advice for them? Share your thoughts as we see how they handle this situation. That night, Austin went to a bar and told Samson everything that had happened. Samson, trying to reason with him, suggested that he consider getting along with Benita since she was a beautiful woman. But Austin refused, deciding instead to make her life miserable so she would leave his house. Later that night in the kitchen, Benita and Austin began exchanging insults, mocking each other over the lies they had both told. While Benita was waiting for Austin to return home, he arrived drunk and started shouting at her about how he had been searching for a job since losing his last one, but couldn't find anything. He then declared that he was in no position to father a child. Benita, unwilling to leave, felt hurt by his words, but remained firm in her decision to stay. One day, Austin met up with a female friend and explained his situation to her. He then pleaded with her to pretend to be his girlfriend and stay at his house to make Benita uncomfortable enough to leave. His friend agreed to help. The next day, while Benita was in the kitchen, she overheard Austin expressing how much he missed his girlfriend, whom he had just brought home. When she entered the room, she was shocked to see him with another woman, realizing he had been in a serious relationship before meeting her. She walked back to the kitchen, trying to process everything. That night, Austin observed Benita eating the same local food she had once ridiculed. He confronted her about it, but although she was clearly uncomfortable, she continued eating in silence. In the middle of the night, Austin sneaked into the kitchen to eat the food Benita had prepared. She caught him in the act, but instead of scolding him, she allowed him to eat in peace because she had done the same thing to him before. They shared a lighthearted moment together at that spot. The next morning, Austin was woken up by the sound of Benita and the woman he had brought into the house arguing. Benita was physically attacking the woman, and Austin had to step in to separate them. However, the woman continued to insult Benita, body-shaming her, which Austin strongly disapproved of. Seeing how he was defending Benita, the woman decided to leave. The following day, Benita realized she hadn't seen Austin all day, so she decided to check on him. She knocked on his door, but when he didn't respond, she let herself in, only to find him looking sick and helpless. Concerned, she went to prepare food for him so he could eat and take some medication. After eating, he fell asleep. She took care of him throughout the day, and when he woke up, he invited her to join him on the bed as he expressed his gratitude for what she had done. The next morning, Austin had recovered and was back on his feet. Wanting to show appreciation, he made breakfast for Benita and praised her, saying she was special despite all the lies she had told. They playfully reminisced about their past deceptions, laughing about how far they had come. Benita then opened up about her background, revealing that she had lost her father when she was 12 years old. Since then, she had done all sorts of things to support her mother and siblings. However, because what she was earning wasn't enough to sustain them, she decided to create a fake life online, which was how she met Austin. She admitted that when she saw how interested he was in her, she saw an opportunity to escape poverty. She sincerely apologized to him for deceiving him. Austin, in turn, admitted his own wrongdoings, explaining that he had planned to use her to leave the country because he had just lost his job and was struggling to find another. They both apologized to each other, choosing to let go of the past and start afresh. They reintroduced themselves and spent the rest of the day enjoying each other's company. Wow. If you were in Austin's shoes, would you still want to be in love with Benita after everything you had been through? And if you were in Benita's position, what would your next move be? Share your thoughts in the comments. From that day on, Austin and Benita built a genuine love for each other, growing stronger day by day and night after night. One day, Austin was preparing for an important business presentation, but he was feeling nervous. Benita encouraged him, reminding him of how capable he was. Austin then reassured her that everything he was doing was for her and their unborn child. He then asked her if she would officially be his girlfriend, even though he was still unemployed. Without hesitation, Benita agreed to be with him, regardless of his job situation. With that, Austin left for his presentation. Later, Austin called his friend Samson to share the exciting news. He had landed a new job. Overjoyed, he rushed home to tell Benita, and together, they celebrated his success. Filled with happiness, they decided to go on a date to mark the occasion. This story teaches us the importance of honesty in relationships. It reminds us that the right person will stay with you no matter your circumstances. It also warns against living a fake life and trusting people blindly on social media, as not everyone has good intentions. Having genuine friends who guide you rather than take advantage of you is crucial. Most importantly, the story emphasizes the power of forgiveness and moving forward in life, whether with someone or on your own. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more exciting updates on the latest Nigerian movies. See you next time.